If you have been a follower of video games and trends, you'll notice the trend and sometimes push, even by companies such as Nintendo. Sometimes they've even pushed for this, but companies have been starting to really advocate you buying your games digitally.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why would they do that?
I would think that it's cheaper because they don't have to make the container or whatever,
Correct.
the disc, the cartridge, the case for it.
Right. They don't provide the storage medium for it. And also, when you buy a game through...
the sales, like, they get a cut of it, right?
Exactly.
Like
the store gets a cut of it, which, and this is why I've always said, like, well, if you're going to sell me a game digitally, I want you to knock $5 off of it at least.
But they don't?
They don't. No, they're the same price, and oftentimes the physical copy will go down in price faster than the digital one will. Because reasons. That drives me crazy. But and as a result, we've seen a decline over the years, over the last 5 years, of physical copies of games being released. You've seen, a lot of the smaller titles will get a digital release, but not an actual physical. And when we say physical, we mean like on an actual game card or Blu-ray disc or physical media. But looks like in 2010 there were 742 games released on physical media, and as of last year, 2015, it was all the way down to 230. And we've seen a little bit of an upswing. In 2016, it went up to 271, which was more than the 2013 total of 254, but not as much as the 2012 number of 424. So while this doesn't represent a complete reversal of...
Yeah, it's not that big of a jump.
Yeah, not much at all, especially when you consider the percentage of it. But people have been... I used to have this argument years ago with roommates about how they're just like, oh, I only buy my games digitally now, and I think you should just buy all your stuff digitally, and it saves so much space in your, in your house,
in your system,
and
right? So much space.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. When you have
it's so hard to have space for this little thing, right?
Well, and AAA games that are like, high quality, high budget games. I'm thinking of the Grand Theft Autos, the Call of Duties, the Assassin's Creed, the Final Fantasies, all that stuff. They're going to be just huge games that take up a lot of data. And unfortunately, we're to the point where it just copies the whole game to your hard drive anyway when you get a physical copy of the game.
Why does it do that? I've never understood why that's a thing.
It's to assist with load times, because it can the system can read from the hard drive much faster than it can read from the disk.
Well, that makes sense, but
I don't know why it has to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
It used to be it just would install some of the game to the hard drive and it would keep the rest on the disk.
And now is there a way to remove it?
Yeah, you can delete it, but then the next time
all your data on your game goes away.
Well, the save data is different. Like there's game data, which is like the installation files, and then there's the save data, which is kept separately. So you can remove game data, but next time you want to play it, you're going to have to go through that installation all over again.
Oh, but you'll be back where you were in the game?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
As long as you have your save file, you're fine. But and digital and physical, they both have their pros and cons. Like we said earlier, when it's digital, you don't get the luxury of having the having provided to you the actual storage device for the game. You have to provide that yourself.
Yeah.
Now, when you go and you buy an Xbox One or PlayStation 4, you're going to get a 500 gig or 1 terabyte hard drive already on there. 500 gigs, with some of these games being 50 gigs themselves, and you don't even have access to all 5 of the 500 gigs, you have about 450 available to you. You're only going to fit 9 games on there.
Yeah, and then you can delete them though, right?
You can delete them, but if you want to play them again, you've got to re-download them.
Yeah.
And what happens, like we've talked about with online games, what happens when the servers eventually
Yeah.
shut down? That's a bad thing.
They're gone.
I will say this: PlayStation is going to be getting an update soon here, which will allow you to use an external hard drive to copy the game files to the external hard drive, so you don't have to re-download it, and you can, I think, run the game off of an external hard drive. So that'll be nice. That way, you don't have to completely upgrade your hard drive, but still have the ability to install multiple games. But with digital copies, so I think we were talking about this earlier. When I had my PlayStation 3, my original PlayStation 3, the one that could play PlayStation 2 games, and I loved it so much, even though it was the big, ugly, piano-looking one, way too glossy. It could do so much more than the slim version of the PlayStation 3 could do, but mine died in 2010, and I got mine the day of launch. I remember it was like November of 2006, like when they first came out, and they were $600. I bought it for $600 because I really wanted it, and I had too much money, so. But I got it. It died 4 years later, and I thought,
that's kind of quick.
it didn't take that long. Well, and the thing with that was I wasn't the only one using it. My roommate was using it a lot because he didn't have one, and then...
Did he help you pay for a new one?
No, of course not. Yeah.
That's kind of frustrating.
A little bit, but that's neither here nor there anymore.
Yeah.
So I went out and I bought a used one, a used slim PlayStation 3, and I wanted to transfer all of my digital games. Although most of my games were physical, I did want to download the digital games that I had downloaded, and there were a lot of, PS1 classics and that kind of thing. I wanted to bring them over to my new PlayStation, and I remember I had to call Sony and say, hey guys, I've got a new PlayStation 3. My old one broke on me, so I can't transfer them from the old system because the old system is done. It won't even turn on anymore. And I just basically asked them to activate it for this new one, and the guy that I talked to, he was very clear. He said, yeah, we'll do this for you once. So basically he was telling me, if this happens again, if your current PlayStation 3 dies,
You're out of luck.
you'll have to rebuy everything.
Fortunately, you still got it.
I still have it. It's still kicking. It's not showing any signs of slowing down. I use it much less nowadays, of course, but that still stinks.
So you got a lot of digital games on it? Like what?
Yeah, I've got about 20 digital games. I got stuff like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the X-Men arcade game, DuckTales. They remade the DuckTales game I've got on there. Just and a lot of, and almost my entire PS1 library that they re-released. So I like to have it there and go back and play those old games because they haven't released a lot of those games on like the PlayStation 4. And even if they did, I'd have to rebuy them again and get the same exact game. Well, now you're playing it on a new system, which is completely, that model needs to die. Once you buy a game, especially a digital game, you should have the digital rights to it. It's like I don't really give a lot of credit to the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store, but I will say this: when you buy a game there, even if you get a new device, guess what? It's completely tied to your account. So once you sign into your account on your new device, you can just re-download your game. I remember one time the Sonic the Hedgehog games were all on sale for 99 cents a piece, like Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic CD, and I just went ahead and I grabbed them all.
From where?
This is on Google Play.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I played them on at the time I had a Galaxy S4, and played them all with like a gamepad. And I still have the gamepad, and they were very good versions of the games. Well, when I got my new Galaxy S7, I could go right back to the Google Play Store and re-download them. Now, my save data didn't transfer over, unfortunately, but at least I didn't have to rebuy the games, which is what Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft make you do. And it's stupid. That shouldn't happen. If I bought it once, I shouldn't have to buy it twice just because I get some added benefit of having it on 2 systems instead of 1.
That's why backwards compatibility is really nice.
And that's also another reason why that's becoming more and more rare.
What?
Because they can make money off of, you buying new versions. Oh, but this time it's in HD.
Whoa.
It's fantastic looking. It's the way it was meant to be played. And then you boot it up and you see all like the really jagged lines. You're like, oh, I don't think this is made to be played in HD. But yeah, there's the whole digital versus physical. I will always prefer physical copies, and over digital. Mm-hmm. I like being able to look at my games on a shelf. I like being able to pull them out, and just show them to people like, yeah, I got this game, instead of like, oh,
you have to believe me.
Let me pull up my Stream account. Look at all the games I have on stream. And your friends are just like, whoa, that's really cool, and you're just scrolling through, and it's like, but I've got bookshelves, and it's just like, those are the games I have. And people are like, oh wow, that's really cool that you've got that. That you have a library. It's a library. It's not a
digital library,
right? Now, I've talked to other people about other stuff like books. Like, I'm totally for ebooks and, getting like the Kindle versions of books.
Well, there are some people who like to do the same thing with them.
Exactly. There are some people that are like, no, I like the feel of a book in my hand, and I like the fact that my book is not battery operated, and I can't run out of power with a book.
Yeah, well, and displaying them on a shelf as well.
Yeah.
So, to show all your vast amounts of knowledge.
Yeah. But, I mean, the fact is, like... And the thing with books, like, I never think we will get to a point where we no longer print books.
No. That'd be just sad.
And I hope that just because, games are a digital medium, I hope we don't get to a point where we just stop putting games on disc or some other form of media.
Well, it looks like there's some hope.
Yeah. A little bit of silver lining on that gray cloud.